Hello everyone, Nick the DM here, back with more March of the Modrons, and today is our fifth and final video touching on the Hierarch Modrons. Today we're taking a look at only one Hierarch. We are taking a look at the Secundus, the second highest ranking in all of Modron Society and the first highest ranking Hierarch Modron. So let's get into it. Secundus. The Secundi are the second highest ranking of Modron kind, second only to Primus itself. 4 Secundus exist at one time. A Secundus appears as an incredibly thin, tall humanoid with a long, narrow face and deep-set eyes. Though it has no class levels, it has the class features of a 13th level monk. I took some liberties with this as the abilities were of course based on the monk class for earlier editions, though each DM could add or remove monk abilities as they see fit. I just gave it the baseline that have been consistent throughout the editions. The Secundi take orders only from Primus itself and relay those to the Tertians. The 4 Secundi serve as viceroys of the quarters, exercising their authority on behalf of Primus. These powerful beings are the virtual rulers of Mechanus, reporting only to Primus. Each Secundus has a staff of 2 Tertians who in turn command other hierarchs. The Secundi live in the great towered cities near the center of each of their quarters and always work in harmony with one another. When Primus dies, one of the Secundi is promoted to take its place. Now let's take a look at the stats I made for the 5th edition Secundus. Secundus. Large construct, lawful neutral. Has an armor class of 19, 345 hit points or 30 d10 plus 180. Has a movement speed of 70 feet and a fly speed of 50. For ability scores, they have a 25 strength, 20 dexterity, 23 constitution, 24 intelligence, 25 wisdom, and 25 charisma. So they're not lacking in any department, at least a minimum of 20 in any of the stats, but they are quite a force to be reckoned with. Saving throws, they have proficiency in dexterity, constitution, and wisdom saves. For skills, unlike the other Modrons, they have a numerous number of skills, notably Arcana, History, Insight, Perception, Persuasion, and Stealth. They have immunity to poison, both the damage and the condition. For the reason I included this immunity, the other immunities that creatures had were based on earlier edition outer planes, and a lot of those outer planes resistances and resiliences have changed over the editions, specifically in 5th edition. I gave them poisoned mostly because of their monk level. Senses, well, again, they don't actually have monk class levels, but they share the abilities with such, and I just thought this would be suiting. For senses, they have true sight out to a range of 120 feet and a passive perception of 29. For languages, they speak Abyssal, Orin, Celestial, Common or the trade tongue of the plains, Infernal, Modron, and Sylvan, with telepathy out to a range of 420 miles. The Secundus have a challenge rating of 19. As with the other Modrons, they have Axiomatic Mind and Disintegration for their abilities. Axiomatic Mind, the Secundus can't be compelled to act in a manner contrary to its nature or instructions. Disintegration, if the Secundus dies, its body disintegrates into dust, leaving behind its weapons and anything else it was carrying. For other abilities, it has Evasion, where if the Secundus is subject to an effect that allows it to make a dexterity saving throw to only take half damage, it instead takes no damage on a success and half on a failure. Innate spellcasting, Psionics. It has 2 types of innate spellcasting, as some of the earlier hierarchs did. It has Psionics, where its spell save DC is 21, has a plus 13 to hit with spell attacks, and it can at will cast Invisibility, Plane Shift, and Suggestion. Now, there are very few, if any, creatures that can cast Plane Shift at will in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. The only one I can think of is the Merut. Now, for Plane Shift here, you could of course drop it down to 3 times per day, which would be understandably. But the reason I kept it at will is because I believe that the reason they had this ability in earlier editions was because of the Orrery, which I touched on in an earlier video, so go check out that one. It was in the Mechanus and Regulus video, so check that one out. And it had the ability that only Modrons know about to allow any creature to travel to any of the planes at will. So you can choose to either keep it at will because of the effects of the orrery, or you can change that based on your personal preference. I kept it at will because, number one, the Secundus aren't going to just leave Regulus and Mechanus for any reason. If they do, it's of necessity, so they'll have access to this ability. They're not going to wander all willy-nilly. Next innate spellcasting it has is Charisma base, which is just normal innate spellcasting for the most part. DC 21 plus 13 to hit. It can cast Clairvoyance and Command at will, and then 3 times per day each, Dimension Door, Wall of Force, and Teleport. It's another ability it has is Leap of the Clouds. The Secundus can jump up to its movement speed, so its jump is not limited by any such like its strength requirements or run up or anything. It's just its jump movement is equal to its on foot movement. And then Purity of Body. The Secundus is immune to diseases. For actions, it has a multi-attack where it can make 2 attacks with its Stunning Strike. Its Stunning Strike is a plus 13 to hit, reach of 10 feet, and on a hit, it does 56 or 9d10 plus 7 bludgeoning damage. The target must succeed on a DC 21 Constitution saving throw or be stunned until the end of the Secundus' next turn. So, just like I mentioned with the earlier Hierarchs, the higher ranking Hierarch Modrons get attacks equal to whatever rank they are. So the second ranked of all of Modron Society gets 2 attacks. This was consistent in earlier editions. And I kept it in here, and 56 damage per hit. And that's a lot of damage. And also mentioning it can stun the opponent, because if anyone doesn't have a plus to a Constitution save, then they're just going to be stunned every time. Now, its next next action is Wholeness of Body, where it can use once per day. The Secundus regains up to 39 hit points. This is just something that monks possess, and because they share abilities with the monks, regardless or despite not having class levels, I added this in there as well. Reactions, it also has Slow Fall, so as a reaction, the Secundus can reduce any fall damage it takes by 75. So all around, fairly rounded stat block. Like this thing's going to be hard to deal with if any party encounters it. Now again, I mentioned this in earlier videos, you can add or remove legendary legendary actions, legendary resistances as you see fit, as when you think about it, a lot of the Hierarch Modrons, especially like the top 5 ranking ones, are really close to legendary creatures, especially if you consider like adult dragons having legendary resistances, and 3 of them. Some Modrons might possess 1, 2, or 3 legendary resistances themselves. I just left this up for everyone to choose for their respective campaigns. It's just optional. Speaking of optional, the Secundus, like the other Hierarchs I've touched on, has the optional ability to possess cleric spells. The Secundus can use cleric spells equal to that of a 20th level cleric. So it won't have any other clerical abilities, and unlike the other Hierarchs, this doesn't funnel down, this comes directly from Primus. So they are able to cast any spells a 20th level cleric could. And that is optional, that's just up to you. Anyways, we're only focusing on the Secundus for this video, and that's all I have on that. The next video will be our final one for March of the Modrons. We're going to be talking about Primus, the one in the prime and the absolute ruler of all of the Modrons. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed statting out the Hierarch Modrons, and I really hope I get a chance to use them one day. If not, you guys get to use them as well. Again, stats are going to be in the description, as with all the other videos. But thank you guys again so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!